So I think we can give it a start. What do you say?
Yay!
Yoo-hoo! So welcome once again. My name is Marian. I'm an engineer and leadership coach and mentor, and I'm really privileged to be at this fourth Techfellows Meetup. How many of you by now know something about Techfellows? Can you please raise your hand? Okay, quite a decent number of people. Nice. So today we'll be speaking about a very interesting topic, of course. But before that, I want to give a word and shout outs to Jakub, because he's the founder, and I'm really privileged to be part of the Techfellows community. Really curious to know what's really the mission and the purpose of that. So if you can give it a shout out for him, would be very nice.
Welcome everyone. So I'm Jacob. I'm co-founder and CTO at SearchWalks, and also co-founder of the Techfellows community. What's the mission of our community or vision? It's to build the top class exclusive community for CTOs, engineering VPs, and director of engineering and other tech leaders. And the mission is to create a platform for sharing knowledge, networking, and create a safe place for requesting advices and other stuff. And also, we know that in this area, in Central Europe, there are many smart heads. And I think that there is a big potential of sharing knowledge of those smart heads for a broader audience. And so we would like to make products. And one of these products is this meetup. So we organize meetups, and in the future we plan to organize also conferences, write blogs, and make some podcasts. So right now we grew up to 50 CTOs, VPs, and tech leaders, and we are still growing every week. People are joining us, and I'd like to invite also more tech leaders. So if you know some, or if you are smart tech leaders, so reach out to us or recommend us some of your colleagues or friends who could, or you think that they should join our community. So we will appreciate that. So welcome again, and thank you.
Perfect, amazing. So I think we can move on. Just a side note, because Jacob, he was saying that it's just invites only, and I'm surprised that I'm part of the community because I'm not smart. I usually when I come to a client, I tell him I'm not smart anymore. I'm just experienced, and it works. So yeah, that's roughly it. Coming back to our topic, the topic for today, for our fourth series of Techfellows, is a unique topic regarding the engineering efficiency and how to sort of measure or indicate whether the teams are being performant and efficient. With that in mind, I want to cover also with our splendid lineup the unique and the never answered question, which is whether we can connect or interconnect these indicators with team happiness. Whether we can interconnect these metrics with team satisfaction. That's something, and I read quite a lot of blog posts about it, and I'm really into the topic. Something that's not being covered so much. So that's something unique we want to bring into the stage. And before doing so, regarding our scope, I want to make sure that, let me bring a clicker with me, hopefully it works. So would you mind scanning the code for Slido? And there's a couple of decent questions regarding your perspective about engineering metrics. So I'm really curious what's going to come out of that survey. And openly speaking, there is not many companies that handled engineering metrics, efficiency indicators, to a degree that there's a good enough satisfaction in the audience within the teams. So really, I want to see how that works. Hopefully, the ladies can run the survey. Okay. So it starts to aggregate all together. So as you can see, the very first question is about whether we have some engineering metrics in place or not. Whether they work or not, that's a different story. There is no engineering metrics at all. And the engineering metrics are all set, which is something unique. Okay, so giving to you a couple of seconds more. And as you can see, the topic is really about measuring team's efficiency. And as we are saying, most of us are here due to the case that we have certain experience with this matter. Nevertheless, the truth of the story and the truth of our survey is that it doesn't seem to be working to teams and people's satisfaction. So I think this sort of highlights and underlines the importance of our talk. With that in mind, I will just close the clicker just a bit. I want to welcome our lineup, and this time we made it really special. We paid attention to bring people who have something to say around this topic. I hate people saying talking theories. I hate people seeing talking books. This never works. I can send you a couple of dozens of different blog posts about this topic. So what? So that is why we have chosen these 3 nights. And in the opposite order, I want to welcome Dagi. Can you please come on the stage with me? With applause. Dagi is an SVP of Atacama. I think he's a well-known figure in Central European environment, for sure. And we'll be talking about what's the real business impact and the satisfaction impact that he perceives in Atacama. Dagi is leading a couple of dozens of different engineering teams, so I think it will be a journey and something to share. With that in mind, thank you, Dagi. With that in mind, I want to welcome Vojta. Vojta is really experienced in this topic because he's brought the DORA metrics in place with some unique tooling. The tooling that he didn't create on his own. It's not custom based, so we'll have a real experience regarding this topic, how these metrics or indicators can be put in place using a standard tooling. Okay? And with that in mind, Vojta, Vlado from Kivula. I know Vlado for quite some time. We've been working together and was mentoring him as well. Vlado has a unique opportunity, and this way we'll want to tell a story. Because with him, the topic is more about how to even start building these indicators, how to start it with no standards tooling, how to build it on his own. And as you can see, the story goes like, we start with some trial and error approach. That works in the end. Then we move towards the topic of the tooling and what sort of tooling works regarding the DORA metrics and the efficiency and so on and so forth. And with Dagi, we want to cover the umbrella above, which is not only having the efficiency available, but also seeing the satisfaction of people and how that interconnects with the happiness and the satisfaction on its own. So all of these 3 lineups are really challenging. I've got to say, so I'm really surprised on what the content is going to be. I have to confess, I haven't seen the slides yet. So let's see what really brings it in. So with that in mind, let's open up the stage for Vlada, and we can give it a try, and he will guide us through his stories. As I'm saying, it will be real stories, no theories, so buckle up and see how it works for us. Thank you.
Okay, so let's see how this works. I think I will be a bit better than Marianne. I saw the slides, at least the first third of that. So maybe one more thing about me. I am currently head of engineering in Kebola. It's a ride. Yeah? I'm in this position of a year and something. Before that, I was an engineering manager in the same company. Originally, I joined the company as a full stack developer. So it is very interesting, especially for me, to go through all the stages. And every few years, it's for me something like a completely new job. So, welcome to Techfellows again. Don't try to make the shortcuts from first, letters. It can confuse you a bit. So, to give you some kind of introduction about metrics, what business really wants. Do business wants the metrics? Let's see. What business wants, from my point of view, or at least at our company, is on-time delivery, proper estimates, increasing number of customers, also ARR, because we are here to make money, we are not a wellness club or something like that. So with that in mind, I have a question for you. Do you think metrics or other tools will help you? Yes or no? What do you think? Maybe you can raise your hands. Who thinks it will help? Okay, you people. Who thinks it will not? But don't get biased by the answer there. So let's do a bit of a deep dive how our journey looked like. There will be a very interesting topic. Vojta will have a talk about DORA metrics, but I want to say something more into the details regarding DORA metrics. And I think many of you, maybe also including me, we were doing the DORA metrics or these kind of initiatives or things before it was cool. So what are the DORA metrics about? So for my point of view, there are, I don't want to change them to fit our need, but you probably want to focus or did focus in the past on DORA metrics, but you didn't know there's that name. So there's first one is a deployment frequency. So if the release is going directly from main branch and there's nothing like a special button to push this to clients or push this to production, you just passed the first stage in a DORA metrics, which is you are releasing straight away once commit is pushed or pull request merge is going to production. The second one is also very interesting, and it is a lead time for changes. So what are you focusing on once commit or pull request is in the main or master branch? You want to have this pull request released as soon as it is possible to the production, and that time until this feature or commit is shipped is a lead time. The remaining two parts are also very interesting, and time to restore service. For example, from our point of view, we have everything in containers, so every release is pushed in a container registry, and so we have the possibility to activate just by one click. I want to have this release right now in production. The other part is what's behind that, like rolling updates, already some workers which are processing jobs which needs to finish before we can switch to another version, etc., etc. But if you are able to revert or just switch, like by a click, let's say, or by a command to the previous version, you probably passed also this part. There's one more like very special thing, maybe in our environment, especially, which is the UI. How we will handle the same thing as we have it in the same thing in backend services we have in place. How to handle the same thing in a UI. That can be also like not, let's say, not work around it, but prepare the way that with one click you will activate the previous version of a UI. And also there are some downsides. Clients, if you are working on a single page application, already have something in place, and then you have to think about how I will tell the client that he needs to reload to activate the previous version or something like that. So I don't want to go like deeper into this topic, but that could be also the thing that if you are doing or if you have in place these processes, so you can activate previous version, you pass also this. And change failure rate. I have to say that I'm not personally like not interested, but we are not monitoring this because we monitor the other parts, which I will follow in the next slides. And this happens for us, especially very occasionally, that the release broke the production. It happens. I am not going to lie, but it happens very occasionally. But we are able to revert to the previous version, so we are prepared for that. So, regarding Dora metrics, this is the screenshot from a Google or from a Dora section they have in place. If you can, if you pass all of these, and let's say have ability to do a fast revert, fast release, etc., as it is stated there, you will have a chance that your success rate in Dora, like criteria, is something like 90+%. But what does it say? Does it say we are elite, as it is in a first column? I don't think so. So it's just like an open question. What does it say for you? And if you pass all these 4 criteria. So let's go more maybe into more details or practical parts we have in place, apart from Dora metrics or what we are monitoring. I'm going now to like more to the section of a planning of work and how it is set up for us. So what do we measure? Very easy thing to measure for us is commitment versus completed work. Especially in the first 3 parts, you can say I very intentionally picked up the best team. So then it is a big change because the screenshot is like very recent. That team was then moved away to some kind of mission, which maybe Davi will tell you more about missions. But this is a very interesting metric for us, that if team is doing the work which they have planned. So another part, which is also very interesting, and you probably are thinking of it like, oh, come on, this is very usual and like a common sense of every developer, but many times it is not. So how many of pull requests are released to production with a deployment? Let's say you are updating some node modules, which is one part, and let's say you are providing a new feature to customer, which is another part. If you merge this together, you don't know which of these parts broke the release. What is also like interesting here, you can see in the bottom of the graph, it's not like the the way that we are the best, there are also some, like, let's say outliers. For example, here there are 50 pull requests included. It's because we are just implementing monorepo, for example. So should I go to that team and ask, hey, come on guys, I'm not happy with this. What does it mean? Yeah, so there's also some kind of a side story. Why is it like that? So overall, we are good, but there are definitely some outliers which if I want to measure the success of team by these metrics, it will not be very good. Another very interesting part, which I want to talk about, is the number of incidents. This is a screenshot, like a real screenshot from our Looker dashboard we have in place. So, as Marian said, we made it like by hand, not by any special tool. And these are high priority incidents which were in place like from January 2023. And what you can see here, I highlighted it very intentionally, we have a deadline to release something in May. You can see here that, if you are moving too fast, you will break things. One can ask that, oh, so the platform is not like really stable. There's an answer for that. Not every, like, if there's a alarm that, hey, there's a fire in some village, there's a chance that fire is not there yet. So firefighters are coming to check this, and the fire is not like yet in place, so they will fix it before any downtime. So that's why there's a note. So if you will start moving really fast, you can be sure you will break things. This is actually the metric I'm checking like every week. So also I'm providing this metric to the business, and I am responsible how our platform is stable. So this also can be something like a mirror for our business people, that, hey, you wanted us to have this feature deployed or released in May, there's a strict deadline. So we move forward and broke things. What else we check? This is very interesting. What do you will say about this burn-down chart? What is it? From my point of view, it could be like complete shit. Yeah. So team, let's say this can be like acceptable. They planned a cycle or sprint, but they didn't make it on time. So first day of a cycle and sprint, they put issues to Jira. But it also can be, we can look on this from different point of view. Can I go to this team and say, come on guys, you are all fired? I should not, definitely not, because this doesn't matter, they didn't their job, but there's a different point of view. You can see here, they were able to complete almost 40 issues, and they ended with let's say 5. So this is also very interesting. Just don't focus on like blindly. This burn down chart or burn up chart should go up or down, and I don't care. One more thing maybe. What do you think about these 5 issues? What it could mean for me? For example, it could mean there was some like special case where these 5 issues were blocked. What's my action also about it? This is very related to happiness Marian was talking about. So once again, I can go to the team and ask, come on guys, why these 5 issues were not completed? We should end with 0 issues left. Yeah, but those 5 issues could be blocked by some other team. So instead of firing all the people, I can work on another part, and if these issues are brought by, for example, backend team, and this is a UI team, I can think about, oh, maybe these teams should work together. I will build a separate product squad, put those two guys, or sorry, put those teams together, and they will be not blocking themselves or each other. So what is very interesting, in the past we focused like too much on number of delivered epics or completed epics, which was also like a not very successful story. And we were able to finish like, let's say, 50% of epics we started working on. And it was like crazy. Come on guys, this is not possible. We are only able to finish 50% of work. You know, it can be very simplified. Once we switch to completed stories, it was 80%. So same thing. Can I go to a specific team and ask, come on guys, this is really not I'm not very satisfied with this approach. But once we changed the metric, it was really like really better. So to like summarize, maybe what is the most important for us instead of be really focused on metrics, like be connected. A few of people maybe are interested in the pull request and how fast the pull request is merged. But I think that if team is small, there are 4 or 5 people, in the morning you should know which pull request, which colleague will send you for review in the afternoon. So just like be connected is like more important for us that saying that, hey team, you have 20 hours left until this pull request will be flagged and I will report it to your manager. Another thing is like to be laser focused and to have longer focus on work, which is very related with the previous slide I have there. And what we were able to do, but increasing the length of the cycle of the sprint. Some people just go like Scrum by the book, and there are 2 weeks. You will plan the work for 2 weeks. And we had an inside joke in our company that one wife of our colleague asked, so 1 week you have for planning, and the second week you work, right? And yeah, it's not like that, but we are able to increase the focus and the number of finished epics just simply by giving the guys more time to work. And also what helped us, for example, if we have a team of 4, is working in pairs. Like this is part of the previous point that like you need to be focused. So 2 guys in the morning in the stand-ups are working together, and one is saying to another, I will send you this feature for review in the afternoon. So he knows how to plan his work for the day, for example. So this is, for example, for me much more better than notifications to Slack from code client. Let's say that, hey, this is not going very well. So maybe few takeaways. I just like have put it as a also open question. You should focus on things which are important for your team, for that specific team, and not just blindly follow that this is a metric which is saying that team is successful or not. For example, I cannot compare our UI team with our SRE team because the scope or the features they are working on are completely different. In our company, UI team is like the last touch. They are finishing all the epics because if you want to deliver feature to any customers, it always ends within an UI. Okay, I think I should have thank you, and maybe we have some time for questions. Click. Just click. That's how easy it is. Just click. Okay, so I will ask for the first question. So fluctuates 50 to 30 in your graph. Yeah, not as I said, not every fire which like is reported, immediately needs a firefighter. What I mean by that is that can be high urgency incident, which is saying there's only 20% of this space left on the device. And the engineer or who has an on-call, it's 24/7, will decide what should he do about it. And if he was deciding more than 15 minutes, then the incident was reported in the graph. So it's just only a matter how you will look at it. I don't know who asked the question, but I hope I answer it. Okay, structure of our teams. Currently, we have more, let's say, domain-oriented teams, which is not the best, and we are working on let's say, a restructuring, and to, as I said in one of the slides, to build more like vertical teams, let's say, which will consist people from different domains, so UI guys, backend guys, etc., designer, and technical product owner, let's say. But right now we are in a stage that we have more domain-oriented teams.
Last question.
Last question: what type of estimation works best for you? This is a very, very great question. I forget to put that slide in this presentation, so thank you for this question. What I maybe not hate, but don't like at Velocity, that it's very, it's not real. Like, it's something you cannot think about very easily, because there are no two epics are the same. I would like to say it like that. So if you are delivering the new features to your platform or to your product, you will probably not find that reference epic you should take as a reference, and okay, how complicated is this thing or is another thing comparing to the first one. So our people looked very closely like how to transfer the story points to actual hours. So we made a conversion table, and now it is going in a Fibonacci scale, and the people know that if something is 8 story points, it should be completed within 1 day, to be honest. So that conversion table helped them to estimate better and say that, okay, this will be ready in 2 days, so I will give that, let's say 16 or something bigger. Thank you.
So, thank you quite a lot for the great introduction about how to start from the very scratch. Nevertheless, there is the very last question that I want to make sure that is answered, which is: have you witnessed or have you seen the correlation between measuring something versus seeing the outcome on the level of team satisfaction or happiness? Do you have some specific situation where you've seen or you witnessed that, saying like, by this number, when we fixed it, then the happiness has increased, or some sort of prevention that happened there?
I think the magic wand for this, or magic word, is the percentage of maintenance you or developers can afford. What do you think is important? Improve the platform, improve the processes, refactor something like that. Once you increase that number, people feel like they are responsible for their work by themselves, and it's not pushed from top to bottom, but this is very related to giving them the more responsibility. So this is one thing which, if we increase the developers, will be definitely more happy.
Okay, perfect. So thanks again. Give it a shout to once again to Vlada. I do know very well how it feels to stand in front of people for 20 minutes and talking about something. I hate that as well. So yeah, that's the bottom line. So thank you for the questions as well. More questions are coming. I hope that the rest of the questions will get answered throughout our networking session with the after party. So stay tuned for that. With that in mind, allow me to welcome our next panelist, Vojta. As you are saying, Vojta will give us a more detailed overview about what's the experience when using the, I would say, appropriate tooling that is built in for special purposes and how it interconnects with the happiness. Don't forget for the question. So with that in mind, welcome Vojta, and let's see what he has something to say. Thank you.
Okay, so I have some success story to tell you. Hopefully a success story. It's gonna be a bit different one than Vlado did. And now I'm gonna employ those DORA metrics that I did not employ in the whole scale. We're gonna employ them in our team. So let's start with motivation. We were at a stage of the company where our product velocity was not where it should have been. It was like, the feeling was that we are moving slow, we are not delivering fast enough, we are not agile enough, and so on. And we wanted to fix that, right? But we want to fix what and how? That were the questions that we were asking ourselves. And if we thought about the what, of course we want to deliver faster, more agile, quicker, deliver more things, but how? And we didn't actually have an answer for that. We didn't know like what things to tweak, what things to improve in order to get there. And of course, like we wanted to measure like what are we delivering now? Like what's the velocity right now, and where we want to get, right? So we started, as most of the teams do, with chasing individual metrics. And we started metrics one by one, trying to like improve our product velocity. We were thinking about like, hey, if we improve this, it's gonna improve our product velocity, but it didn't really work. So I'll give you an example. We started chasing metrics such as like number of commits, right? That's a ridiculous one. We got that one, rid of that one very quickly. But to give you then that example of what happens, is if you start, for example, measuring the number of commits, and like the more commits you have, the better it is, people start breaking down things to smaller, tiny commits. If you start measuring like number of lines of code, right, people start writing huge functions and a lot of code with a lot of commands and everything just to get to that metric. But that does not necessarily translate to a better product velocity. So you may see the list here. It starts with like the very bad metrics and goes down to like better ones. It gets better as you go down the list, but like it's not still the thing, right? For example, number of features that we deliver. Okay, we can measure that, but that's like a single number. Like how can we improve that one, right? That's our goal, but how do we get there? Things such as how fast do we deliver them? Okay, we can measure that one, but how can we improve that one, right? So we started researching, and we found out that our ticketing and like our estimates and all the like tracking of our work and the estimation of like our cycles was not really good. Like it was all over the place. We kind of estimated something and it took a totally different amount of time. We tried to plan some work and it like, took like 3 times longer than what we actually planned initially. So we thought, yeah, that's gonna be the problem. We are like measuring things incorrectly. We are assuming that something is gonna take some time and then it takes a totally different time. Turns out we kind of improved that very well. We got into a point where, like, as Vlado presented his like success story with like the burnout chart and so on, like our burnout charts look very similar to the last one that he showed, with like just a few story points left. You know, like accuracy of planning was like 80 to 90%. That's really, really nice. But the product velocity haven't moved, or like it buckled just a bit. So the problem wasn't solved. So we get back to the drawing board and started researching again. And we found out about the DORA metrics. Maybe a question for the audience, like, is there anyone who doesn't know what the DORA metrics are? Okay, I see like it's very hard to see, but I've seen like 8 people, and there's going to be like 8 other people that are too shy to raise their hand. Okay, so that's quite a lot of people. DORA metrics, that's basically like a research group. You may see the name there. What is it? DevOps Research and Assessment. Basically a group that exists within Google, and they did like 6-year research and found out about those 4 metrics. Vlad already like mentioned what those metrics are, so just a quick recap. It's the deployment frequency, it's the lead time for change failure rate, and time to restore service. That sounded like a thing that if we improve that, at least the perceived velocity will be much better, because our velocity at the time, like, it felt like we are not delivering things that we should deliver, and even after like improving our estimates and our planning, we still haven't delivered it. Like it got stuck in some of the pipelines for like reviews, testing, deployments, whatever. So we thought, yeah, let's improve those, and it's gonna be much better. So we tried to improve them ourselves, and we started to measure them ourselves, but we spent too much time measuring those and trying to like get in the pipelines, get in the tooling, spent a lot of time on it, and it still like failed. You know, like we were missing some things. It took too long to deliver like this measuring tool for us. So we said, okay, let's not measure it ourselves. Let's search for some tool that actually does it for us. So we started evaluating 3 tools. One of them is LinearB, basically like the biggest player on the ground for these kind of metrics. We evaluated Swarmia, and we evaluated Minware. Turns out we continued with Swarmia, the middle one. We really liked Swarmia, what they offer. The team is very nice and like very responsive. We had like a shared Slack channel with them. There are some guys from Finland. They're like, if you know Finnish people, they are not super extroverted and nice to anyone. But those, like, I think, like the 1% of all the extroverted and nice people in Finland, that's like the people from Swarmia, right? So yeah, they were super nice, they were super friendly and super helpful to like set up everything for us. We even asked for features that they didn't have. You ask them for that feature, and like in 1 week they deliver it. We were like, okay, so first of all, they really like us, they deliver features for us, and they deliver them very, very quickly. That means their product velocity must be good. That means our can be increased by having Swarmia integrated with our measuring as well, right? So what Swarmia offered us, there's like so many metrics, there's like 30 of them, but I'll just mention the few of the importance. So it's like deployment frequency, batch size, cycle time, review rate, work in progress, and so on. There are metrics covered, of course, by the DORA, and there are some like additional metrics for like the engineering efficiency and so on. Turns out like most of those were very useful for us and for like improving our product velocity. And that's not only the thing that Swarmia offered, and it's also the insights. So there was things such as like the workload, investment distribution, CI insights, bug insights, working agreements, and the review notifications and reminders. So the work log, I'll just like try to explain what those are. The work log, that's like a log of like who deployed what, who did which commit, when, of what size, you know, like which project, what bug it fixed, and so on. The investment distribution, that's basically a distribution of like the work that you committed for. I mean like you plan for in the cycle for the project versus like if you're fixing bugs, if you're doing like maintenance work, and so on. CI insights, probably not interesting to go through, as well as the bug insights, but the working agreements, that was like really loved feature by our team, and that is like an agreement where you set up, for example, that you want all code reviews finished with 12 hours and closed, right? So you set up that working agreement, and it like watches for you if this agreement is withheld. And for example, if someone is getting late, or if it's getting out at the clock of that deadline, it pings notifications to those people like, hey, you still have a review to do, there's still some work to do, you know, like you'll be late, there's this agreement that we agreed upon, there's somebody else waiting for you. That's very useful. There's like a lot of agreements regarding like naming the tickets, batch size, you know, the PR size, whatever. There's plenty of agreements. And of course the review notifications and the reminders. So there's like this integration with Slack. It sends you a notification when something changes and you're assigned to a code review. If you're late for the code review, if some action is required from you, and so on. So that sounds very good, right? But now about the adoption. So the adoption, that was a bit mixed story. The good things were, for example, the notifications and the working agreements. So people agreed onto something, and they really like that the system is watching over them instead of some like manager with a whip, you know, like watching over them and being like, hey, you're too late, we may need to fire you for this. So they really like the fact that it's a system, and they got reminded, and like all the working agreements and the notifications they fell in love with, and they like really like couldn't even like imagine working without them in like a month of time. So that was like very good adoption. But the bad adoption was actually the work log, the metrics, and yeah, that's about it, right? So the work log, they thought that they are being watched over, right? It's like somebody's watching over your shoulder, like, hey, you deployed only 3 commits today, whilst you deployed like 5 commits yesterday. Your velocity is slowing down, you know, like they felt that somebody's watching them, someone is evaluating them, and that's a bad thing. So that got a very bad pushback. We had to explain to people what's going on, why are we doing this, and so on. And there's also the rivalry between the teams and between the individual people, right? It's like people start comparing, of course, across the teams and across like in the teams, across people, like, hey, I got 4 deployments today, you have only 2, I'm better, you know, like things like that. So you have to be like very diligent, explaining to people that, hey, this is not the way to go. We are not measuring this, we are actually measuring the whole thing. I got a code here that I have to use a lot. That is, we are not measuring your performance, we are measuring the product velocity. And that's the thing that we have to tell the people all over, so that they can totally like get relaxed and eased off. But hey, we are not measuring you individually. We are measuring the system. We are measuring how the team behaves. And that kind of helped with the adoption, and in the end it worked out. For me, as an engineering manager at that time, I was like between 2 stones getting crushed, because people were pushing back that they don't want to be measured, whilst the leadership and the business wanted all the measurements, and they wanted all the like, individual performances and how many commits somebody did, which is not a fun thing to measure. So I had to like explain to both parties that, hey, this is not the way to go, we are not measuring this actually, we haven't employed a tool for this. But yeah, it turns out quite well in the end, but it took a lot of work. So here, is it visible? Yes, it kind of is. Okay, so that's like 3 months apart. This one is like December-ish to January. This one is like March to April, and you see the improvements that we did once we employed this formula, right? This is screenshots from like a dashboard. There's like way more metrics, but I chose this ones. So the cycle time improved from 4 days to 35 hours. The throughput improved from 11 PRs to 25 PRs per week. The pull requests in progress decreased from almost 6 to 3, and the time for the first review from 16 hours to 7 hours. Okay, so that sounds like a good result, but what does it actually mean, right? I used a different benchmark than Vlado did. This one is like having a bit more columns, not only the Dora metrics. So when we started and before we implemented Swarmia as the measuring tool and the Dora metrics as well, we were in like the fair column, right? That's like around where we were. And after the 3 months, basically the after screenshot that I showed you, we were in like on the line between the elite and strong column. That's pretty great, right? But what does it actually mean? We had a goal in the beginning and the motivation that we want to improve our product velocity. I just showed you that we improved some metrics, but have we actually improved the product velocity, right? So the product velocity is a thing of a perception. You have the business and the leadership watching over you and feeling and perceiving how well are you delivering, how fast, how quickly, how often, and so on. And improving those metrics actually helped us deliver more quickly, more often, and everything else that we actually wanted to improve. So yes, it was a success. Our product velocity was perceived like twice as much or 3 times as much before actually we employed those metrics. So I think that's a great success. And the takeaway message from that is that in order to boost up your product velocity, you may need to find a way how to like measure your engineering quality and find angles how to increase and improve your engineering quality, and that in the end translates to the increased product velocity. Of course, this does not necessarily cover all the things. There's like a much higher point. We'll probably hear something about that from Dagi very soon. But there's like more and higher point of like, are you actually building what matters? Are you actually like, going towards your goals? Are you setting your goals correctly? And so on. This does not cover it. But if you look really low down and you try to measure like the quality of your engineering and the product velocity, this I think covers it very well. And that was my success story from DeepNote, how we employed the Swarmia tool for measuring this and how we actually improved our product velocity. So on the left, you can see my LinkedIn profile. You can scan that, you can add me, you can message me, whatever. And on the right side, I actually asked our friends at Swarmia, and I told them that I'll be talking a bit about them today. And they were like, hey, okay, you can offer something for that. And they actually offered a extended trial and a pack of features that are actually not in production. So you, if you want to employ that in your companies, in your organizations, you can scan that code or get that link in, and you can get extended trial with Swarmia, and you can help even them test their features. And as I told you, like they are really nice Finnish guys, and you can probably set up like really good communication channels with them. That's it. Okay, so the questions. Do you have definition of ready before engineering start working on the ticket? Is metric effective when engineering is blocked by e.g. alignment with PM? Yes, like we have a definition of ready if the ticket is actually groomed and discovered, right? Like we have a process, we are currently going through a process of shape up, and like the discovery phase is taking place one cycle before the actual like implementation phase. That means like the ticket needs to have full discovery, full design, ready, everything like reviewed from the business side of things, and then it actually goes for the engineering. So that's my answer for that. What are the individual parts of investments that you measure? Bugs, roadmap, off-road map, etc. So the individual parts of investments that we measure is actually like project-related work. So we set up projects for the beginning of every cycle and the objectives, right? So that's the things that we measure. Like, are we building towards our objectives, towards our projects to be succeeded, to be finished? And then we measure the other stuff. And the other stuff, we have a few categories. So it's like bug fixes, it's maintenance work, it's ad hoc tickets, for example, like get somebody access to something, you know, that's not a maintenance, that's not a bug fix, it's like an ad hoc ticket. And then there's like other column, but we rarely use that either.
Last one. Choose wisely.
It was chosen for me, I guess. So Durametrics measures the efficiency of your release tooling and dev pipeline. How will it show org or team co-problems, product design, engineering frictions? Yes, very good question. I like that one. So it does not necessarily shows these problems, but those problems kind of translate into those metrics, right? So we've seen, for example, the cycle time and so on. So that means if the ticket is picked up by somebody, the time is ticking, it's getting measured, right? And if that person is getting stuck on alignment with a PM, with a design, with another engineer, with like architects, whatever, if they go to the review time and the review is taking too long, maybe the review like got through many rounds of re-reviews and revamps and so on, that all gets into those metrics. So yes, you don't like necessarily measure that, hey, this was a problem with a sync between an engineer or a PM, but you see in that metric that, hey, this ticket took like way too much time in the cycle time, and you then drill down individually with an engineer, like, hey, that's the ticket, what was going on, like, what was the problem? And then they tell you, and after that you can actually do some actions with those problems.
We can do one more because
Yeah.
we accidentally.
Go on, please.
Okay.
It has 2 thumbs up, so it has to be answered.
Okay. So
The first one.
I'll choose the last one. Are the developers like only based on Durametrics or also based on the company's or team results? I like that question. So basically, the engineers are not personally evaluated on the Durametrics. That's a thing that I mentioned during my presentation, that what they think, and that's what the business and the leadership thinks. But we as engineering managers are trying not to do that, right? Because there are so many like quirks and tiny details that if you go into detail, and Vlado mentioned it as well, right? Like if you measure somebody on like the size of their PR, and then you like give it an average, and you see that this person was on average delivering like 3 times larger PRs than everyone else. But then you drill down into the problem, and you see that they were doing like a revamp of some functionality throughout their project, and that actually means that they will do way larger PRs because they are doing a revamp of work that's already done, right? So no, we are not using like individual Durametrics or individually evaluating the engineers.
Perfect. So thanks again to Wojta. And as you can see, it was really exceptional, really practical, really in the field. And as you can see, we are telling a story. The story moves from trying to do and witnessing how things are happening with the team efficiency and happiness with the built-in custom solution, moving on to some standard tooling that's a bit faster to deploy with nicer charts eventually. By the way, there is one comment to be said, which is these tools are not for free, right? They cost some pot of money. And by the way, this is a decision why some of the companies build it on their own in the end, right? Usually they go for 10%.
But you can negotiate with them, so that's a good practice.
Use Wojta for that purpose. Still, it's a lot of money. So with that in mind, we are talking, and the story goes like, we have now sort of highly performing team, but what the hell are the high performing teams good for? We all want to have high performing teams, right? What for? What are the teams good for if you throw junk to them? Junk in, junk out, right? What is it good for? So with that in mind, I want to welcome on the stage Dagi. So you can welcome him in. So thank you, man. And he'll be talking more about what's the metrics and how we look at it to certain indicators from the business perspective being a manager of managers and managers. So I think this might be really interesting for you to see the other part of the story. So thanks, Sam.
Thank you, and hello everybody. Thank you very much for the spoiler. Before we start, a bit about me. My name is Roman Pichlík, aka Dagi. I am SVP of Cloud at Atacama for past 3 years. And first disclaimer is not everything that I will talk about will fit to you, fit to your organization size, maybe fit to the stage of your organization. So beware, one size doesn't fit all, okay? Atacama R&D at this moment consists 260 people. 50 of them is related to the product, functions like product management, designers, UX research, etc. While the engineering part, containing operations people, is almost 210 people. So I will take a look on the metrics, or what really matter to measure from a different angle, from different perspectives. So guys, we're talking more about the, let's say, metrics that you leverage as a really good proxies how your teams, move forward. But this is not everything, right? Why the hell measure the speed of your teams if teams goes and run in a different, let's say, not indifferent, but let's say wrong, let's say, direction, or to wrong place. Marianne said that, or stolen from my slide, I hope, trash in, trash out. Okay, guys. So I will a bit talk about this narrative, like trash in, trash out, because you might have the best high performing engineering team, but what is the purpose if they miss the target? Okay. So I wanted to tackle this problem from the perspective, let's say uncertainty, and let's say the plan. Because from the engineering perspective, everything looks great. You have these 2 weeks cycles, whatever size of the sprint you choose. You get the inputs. Likely you get that inputs based on the cooperation with your product managers, with your, let's say, UX designers. Then you work it on the 2 weeks because you maybe get such an estimation that likely you go over these 2 weeks because of the estimation never works. Then the feature is shipped to production, and then it may happen that you completely miss the target audience. Nobody uses such a feature, and looking back, you see that you invested, I don't know, like 500,000 crowns per feature nobody uses, and what's worse, such a code make a mess and increase the maintenance cost. But this is really tough problem to tackle, because you never know whether the investment, the feature that your teams were developed really hit the target or not. Okay, because it's about uncertainty. So the metrics that I will talk for a while are this one, which we use to prevent, invest too much into the uncertainty and limit the, let's say, causalities. Okay? So, on the bottom part, you see, let's say, the techniques or preventions that we use to not over-invest when the uncertainty is really high. By the way, we as Atacama, and maybe it's somehow tied to our DNA, to our core culture, we developed even our own development methodology, which is called Space Up. It has some similarities with Shape Up from 37 Signals and missions and launch pads from the pipe drive. If you haven't heard about these methodologies, Shape Up, Missions and Launchpads, or our Space Up, please Google it. It's really, really inspiring because I fully believe that each and every company should find the methodology that the best fits to the strengths and weaknesses of the company and its DNA. It's really, really important. So what we do to, let's say, and later on what we measure to prevent this, over investments in uncertainty into investments, which leads to the, false assumptions and missing targets, and which leads to the, people frustration. So the, let's say, first prevention for us is brand discovery. So before we decide to invest into bigger, let's say, areas, then we do UX research, and on top of that UX research, we do some kind of the discovery. Sometimes it's really discovery in the terms of the feasibility. So it's more like solutioning. Are we even able to implement it? Are we sure what are the technical consequences of such a concept? To give you an example, for example, Atacama Products solves the issue with the data quality, and it really depends on our ability to process a giant amount of data, execute data quality rules. So, for example, when we decide about implementing a new data quality engine, such a huge investment have to have all these discovery phases, solutioning in advance just to see the feasibility. So definitely putting some kind of discovery into your development cycle, it's something that prevent sunk costs. Okay, then use appetite. That's my favorite one because I don't believe that you can get any close to reality estimations. I don't, to be honest, I don't believe that any of your developers can give you any estimate that he would, or she would sign by his or her blood, because with the growing complexity of the technology, code base, etc., everything around, it's really, really difficult to provide any estimates. But there is a different approach, which is appetite, and we leverage that. So instead of asking our people, our developers to, forecast, I would say forecast, or estimate how long it takes to develop and release a particular feature, we tackle this problem from opposite perspective. We say, okay, pick your buffer like 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, up to 6 weeks, and try to do whatever fits into this time frame. So people are not forced to provide ballpark estimates, but instead we limit the capacity, which goes hand in hand with the limiting capacity. So we say there is no, it's in our lingo, it's called mission. There is no mission which can goes over 6 weeks. So we know that the maximum investment which we approve is up to 6 weeks, multiplied by the people who will execute that in our lingo mission. Okay. So we by purpose do this discoveries, then we force people or try to force people, and this is really tough part, switch their mindset from the providing false estimates to leveraging the appetites, and then limits the lifetime. What we get from it, we don't get, let's say, much, but much better, let's say, certainty, but we get for it, you know, a limited sunk cost. So if something goes wrong, and that may happen because software development is sometimes based on the assumptions, then that's not such a huge problem because of the limited cost. So how we measure, or what we measure, how good or bad we are in this. We do two things. The first one is we measure the investments. It's pretty easy equation. It's a number of the people multiply by the time spent on the mission. So we get number in Czech crowns or in euros. So we know how much the particular feature costs us, and later on we can follow on the product telemetry and see how such a feature is being actively used. So we know how such an investment, you know, pay off or not. Okay, so that's one measure that we use. Second one is measuring the average duration, and the reason for this is we need to be sure that people really use the appetite. So we don't want to see that 99% of the missions take the maximum capacity, right? Because bigger mission, bigger delivery, higher chance that something goes wrong. Yeah, very simple, very simple. Okay, so these are, let's say, on the top of slide, you can see what we do to prevent, you know, wrong investments or non-wrong investments, let's say causalities of these investments. On the bottom, you see what we measure. Great. But that's not all, and I'm getting to Marianne's point, because this is not about the metrics only. This is not about mission landed on a time, or whether a mission cost us I don't know 10,000 crowns or 200 pounds. At the end, it's about your people. Okay, so even the best performing team are sooner or later struggle. And the question is how you measure that. Okay, how you can focus on that. How you know that there is going to be a problem and your team or teams will get stuck. And for that purpose, we use regular surveys. It's really surveys because it's prepared by our UX research team, by Honza Balata. So we have a questionnaire which usually takes I don't know, like 15 to 30 minutes to be filled in. Its occurrence is something like 6 to 9 months. So every 6 to 9 months we do, let's say, such kind of the survey. So what we get from such a survey, as I mentioned, we develop our methodology. So we check how are people satisfied with such a methodology? How are satisfied, or how they follow the methodology? It's for them something written on a paper, and the reality goes in different, you know, direction. Because in such case, it wouldn't make sense to have such a methodology because we wouldn't get any benefits of it, or we would have to simply alter the details of the methodology. If you do and we do that regularly, you see how the numbers, you know, looks like from the, let's say, longer time period. Okay, so we are able to retrospectively see the trends, which is also important because based on each survey results, we are able to adapt on it, improve things, hopefully not worsen them, but rigorously going through the same same questions, we can compare the results and see we can see the results. Here is an example toho, how much people, for example, can focus on the missions, because one of the main attributes of our methodology was that we want to provide people focus time when they are on the mission. So we see whether it's wet dream or whether it's reality. One more thing, sometimes when you do such a survey, you get hard data. So you see, for example, the percentage of the people who strictly follows the methodology or not, but a lot of content, a lot of feedback, a lot of signals are hidden within comments. So our UX research team even analyze and go through all the comments and then extract for us what are the main clusters of topics. So these are the results from the last survey, and we can see that the one of the main resonated negative topics within the comments is the capacity of the internal teams who are taking care of the maintenance. Okay, and for example, we also see some really good vibes about the likeness of the space sub methodology. So it's not only about the hard data. It's not only about to seeing, it goes in good way or in bad way, but it's also about the feelings, about the perception, and you get that only from the analyzing of that comments. And one last word about it. It can give you some guidance or follow-up topic to prevent, people churn, people burnout, team, let's say, struggles, etc. Okay, very important topic. It's not focused only on durametrics as proxies of your, cloud transition or high-performing team, but also about how the people feels, because it strictly influences their performance as well. Good. Questions? Are you struggling? No, because I said the survey is sent, the frequency is 6 to 9 months. Last time I think we have completeness like 75% or so 75% out of 260 people. So if it's not often, then I wouldn't be there to do it. That's really it's really great question. Mission, and you can Google Space Up. Mission crew is assembled on purpose. So each mission might have a different crew. So it's dynamic, but the spaceport, the team from which the mission crew comes from is usually one. So we have bigger teams, 20 to 30 people, which fly usually in parallel 4 missions, and the crew for these missions, it's assembled before the mission start. Who sets the appetite? We do encourage that the product manager and the mission commander. A mission commander is a role, is somebody who is in charge of the mission. So these two guys puts together appetite. But to be honest with you, it doesn't work as I would expect. Like it's really hard to change people's minds, like switching from the estimates to appetite. It's a very tough problem.
last one.
Great question. We believe in something like minimum viable product. So we believe that there is some kind of the value you can get out of the 6 weeks. So usually we have concept which is called space program, and within the space program you usually have a couple of the set of the missions that one follows other. It's like, I don't know if you know, guys, Apollo cosmic. United States has the space program called Apollo, which finally eventually brought Neil Armstrong to the moon, which consisted of a couple of missions. Like we have something very similar. Okay, thank you.
Perfect. So thank you. For Dagi. And as you can see, thanks again for Dagi for being really transparent with the metrics, because you could see the physical numbers, which doesn't happen quite often. And by the way, I like the never-ending topic about whether and how hard to estimate, right? We all fight with that. We all have certain opinions on top of that. Perfect. So with that in mind, let's summarize our talk all together, shall we? So if you allow me, I will just dedicate a couple of minutes more around this very topic. And I want to close it by the fact that usually when I go to the companies and I witness what's their status concerning the engineering metrics, I usually see that there is a little struggle. You might also ask how to start. You have seen certain purposes and certain opinions. In my opinion, what's the best to start with is not to focus on here, on the topic, on the tasks. Fuck the tasks. What's really important instead is to first start focusing, for example, on the roadmap contribution. Why? I want to make sure that my teams, and I used to have 30 plus teams, work on things that matter the most. That makes me sure that the probability of delivering some value is really high. So that's the number one. The number two is, and I call it adoption rate. The adoption rate tells us how worth of the value the epics that we have delivered are, might be the missions. And you want to have the threshold something about, let's say, 60-65%. It really says whether these ideas are worth value towards the customer. Imagine a team, and we were saying the opinion about the high-performing team. If they work on a junk, then the satisfaction is not there at all. And in that case, the high-performing teams are not very useful. The number three is, and I think Vlad was talking about it quite a lot, please consider these things as indicators, not as metrics that can be tied towards individual performance or performance of the teams. They are signals. Be more specific. You might have a person who is quite senior as an engineering developer. Nevertheless, the number of his commits or their commits is quite low. Should we fire him? Should we fire them? Well, I don't think so, because these people might be working on sharing the knowledge, pairing with other people, right? This is the context of things. The number four, quite often I see that companies are totally neglecting the adoption part of things. And in that case, Wojta was talking quite a lot about it. My experience tells me that numbers and metrics is 1/3 of success. Where's the 2/3? The 2/3 are in adoption, in convincing people that these things might be actually helpful, that these things might are causing the transparency in a positive way, that these things might work as a prevention. All the time, there is some person coming to me and telling me, you want to measure me, right? You really have to make sure that the narrative is turned totally the other way around, through the bottom up. approach. And the last thing, and that's what Dagi covered quite well, is improving things, gathering the feedback, gathering the sentiment around from the real people. There's a handful of the tools that are able to provide that. Either you run the surveys, or there are tools such as Office Vibe that is feeding you with a number of questions and is automatically categorizing the answers based on the context. And it saved my ass quite a lot, I have to say. I was pretty skeptical about these tools. But when I saw, for example, that some given team, the the relationship with in the team went from the score from 8 to 6. All of a sudden I was able to talk with my team lead and telling him, hey, do you know something was happening in your team? Nope. Okay, so can you please ask the similar question through running your one-on-ones? What was the difference? The difference is that I was able to make it work as a prevention. If I wouldn't be able to spot the root situation, then the team goes belly up, the team underperforms. Maybe I have to rebuild the team and spend and waste another half a year of that team to rebuild it. It is, in the end, worth the cost for the tool, right? So that's really my experience regarding the engineering metrics. Once I saw a CTO in a no-name company, and he was chasing people and over 100 people of company around the task and the estimates, the micromanaging stuff. That's not gonna work. If you are a director, keep it on the high level. Make sure that the roadmap contribution is there. Of course, it might be good to observe the things that the guys about the roadmap are saying. That's absolutely necessary. But keep in mind the one sentence, which is, you might have a highly performing team, but if you don't feed the teams well, they are no purpose. So with that in mind, I want to close and come to a summary regarding this meetup. So if you can please stand up, all the three guys that were very precious to us. Dagi, Vojta, and Vlado, so big shout out to them. They are indeed part of the Techfellows. Speaking of the Techfellows, I want to again thank to Jakub for organizing this event. And I want to thank the girls, come on girls, the organizers who are representing the beauty of with them together. And of course, to all of you who were able with us to stay here, making it longer, I hope you brought the value out of it. And of course, looking forward for talking to you to answer the more questions that are coming, having the networking, there are some beers, something to eat, some snacks, and so on and so forth. So enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you all, thank you to the Techfellows, thank you to the guys. See you next time.
And thanks, Marian, for moderating this all.
Yeah.